Welcome to Shallow. One podcast, two time zones, diving deep into a new topic every week. From pop culture to beauty and wellness trends, careers and ambitions, these conversations flood our WhatsApp inboxes and social media feeds. Dialing in from Sydney, Australia and London, UK, we're asking the same question. Is it really that deep?
The shallow take, going sober, is the obvious healthy choice. But what happens when you give up alcohol for an entire year? Will it change your life? After our deep dive on the sober curious trend, we caught up with our friend Jordan Fores-Higgens, who ditched the booze for a whole year up until her 30th birthday. We're asking if sobriety changed her life or if it's just another shallow wellness trend. Is giving up the alcohol that deep? Well, we're about to find out. Let's dive in.
Jordan, welcome to Shallow. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a bit of a muggy one in London, but we usually kick things off with a recommendation of something we're kind of loving at the moment, whether that's like a book or a film. So yeah, do you have anything for us this week off the top of your head? If you don't, that's fine.
Hey, thanks for having me. I've actually been watching something on Channel 4, which is a little bit controversial, but also super trashy, and it's called Virgin Island.
Is it exactly how it sounds?
It is exactly how it sounds.
What happens?
Well, essentially,
What happens on Virgin Island?
there's a group of maybe 15 participants, let's say, and they're between 25-ish to 30, and they're all virgins, and they've come forward to be like, we need some help with this. So they go onto this island where there's a bunch of experts who essentially take them through this journey of being able to be comfortable with touch all the way to the deed. Yeah, it's fucking weird.
I thought you were gonna be like, it's so empowering, it's so sweet, it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
I love it.
The reason I recommend it is because I feel like it's one of those things that is currently being aired, and then in a year's time it's going to be taken off because
Too weird.
It's
honestly
inappropriate,
just be part of history and watch it.
A gorgeous
Putting that
recommendation.
in my notes right now.
All right, let's dive in to why you're here. Let's go back to the beginning. When did you first start thinking about cutting out drinking? Was it an overnight decision? Had you been mulling it over for a while? Was there a real trigger point, or were you like, fuck it, I'm just going to give this a go?
Well, first of all, I feel like I'll probably say we quite a few times, and that's just because Joe and I did this together, my now husband. But obviously it was an individual decisions too, but we kind of went on it together. But I feel like it's something that was definitely in the back of our minds for a while, because I think we recognize that it's one of those things, you're in uni or you're young and you're sort of testing boundaries, and you have the freedom to sort of do it as much as you want or go out or whatever. And I feel like I don't know, most people find their place insofar as what's reasonable and what's not reasonable, and then you can kind of see where that split kind of happens, if that makes sense. And so it's just something that we had discussed loads of times, but in what degree we weren't sure whether or not it would be for example, dry January. We'd done that a couple of times. Or we were like, oh, maybe we should just do it drink once a month or something like that. And then basically we got married in the November before the January that we decided to stop drinking for a year. And I think it had just been such a hectic year where there had been the summer where there's always stuff going on in the summer, so you drink it all the time. It's way more socially acceptable to just be at the pub or have a barbecue, have a few drinks, something like that. And then there was loads of wedding prep, hen do's, all that kind of stuff. And it just felt like it was like constant. And then it was like leading up to the wedding, it was like, oh, I'm just stressed, like drink. And then it was the wedding, and then it was like drink, and then it was the honeymoon, and then it was drink. And then it's that December, and my birthday's in December, and then it's Christmas, then it's New Year. So it's like drink, drink, drink. And I think we were just like, fuck, okay, like let's just like take a step back. And for something that is like, I was about to say supposed to be the happiest time in your life, like it was amazing, like it was brilliant, like the wedding was great. But I think I recognized I was like the most unhealthy I've ever been, ever. And it was one of those moments where I feel like you have such a spotlight on you. Also the next year I was about to turn 30, so I was going into my like penultimate year of 20s. And I was suddenly like, oh fucking hell, like I feel like if I don't make a change now, my trajectory is just looking pretty wanky. And also I was always very conscious because like all over my family there's like so much alcoholism, and you know, around our families we've experienced it a lot. And I also feel like certain personalities are more predisposed to, I don't know, follow certain patterns and things like that. So it's kind of one of those moments where I was like, okay.
So you're like kind of ripping the band-aid off instead of kind of doing that like dry January, which is, you know, I think a lot of people do like they go to the gym for a month in January, or they stop drinking for a month, and most of the time they just carry on the habits after that. So it's kind of like pushing it past that point, to make sure you can carry that on, and sometimes it is just the all or nothing kind of thing.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like I definitely am quite an all or nothing person. But if you were to have said to me at the beginning of January, so it was like January 24, like, do you know, for example, I was due to go to a hen do in the March. Do you think you'll still be sober then? I'd be like, I mean, props not, but you know, I'm gonna give it a go kind of thing. And then and also because the thing is, you say like with dry Jan, in our heads we're like, right, let's focus on January for now, because obviously if you think too far in the future it can become like super overwhelming, and then you're just like, oh fuck it. And then we were just like, see where it goes kind of thing. So it wasn't necessarily right, let's do it for a year, but it was let's do it, let's keep doing it. And then I think it was like about 6 months in, it was like, right, might as well do a year.
Yeah, so you think in the now, because you're just thinking you're getting to the next month, the next week, and then by the time you know it, it's like 6 months have passed, and you're like, well, I might as well just carry on.
Yeah, it was also overcoming like obstacles that everyone's drinking at, and doing them not drinking kind of thing.
Yeah, let's go there now. I think, you know, obviously, especially in the UK, like massive drinking culture, right? And I think a lot of that is weather dependent. It's like, you know, Christmas, it's party season, everyone's at the pub or winter wonderland or whatever, and then you got the summer, and then the sun comes out, and you know, you're at the pub in the garden, or you're having a barbecue. Obviously removing alcohol from that situation, or, you know, hen dos as well, like getting fully into that wedding era of our lives now. How did you find that, especially at the start when you were like, actually, you know, I'm not going to drink?
For me, it was probably more like FOMO. That I think I definitely felt the FOMO because I naturally am quite a sociable person. Like I'm definitely extroverted. I'm in my comfort zone if I'm like chatting to people. Whereas I know Joe, I know this isn't a podcast about him, but it's just we were on the journey together. He's not sociable, and he definitely would use drink in those situations as like a crutch. So I feel like he definitely struggled in that element more. But in my head I was like, I really want to push myself to go to all of these things that I would have gone to anyway, and not be like, oh, I'm not going because I'm not drinking, because then I feel like it's almost like giving alcohol this pedestal that like, oh, people do these things because they're drinking, otherwise you can't enjoy life kind of thing. So I was like very much so trying to like battle that over in my mind every time there would be an occasion where I'd automatically think like, oh yeah, like, you know, I'll have a few drinks whilst I'm getting ready kind of thing, instead of being like, oh, everyone's going to be like, because the questions, that's it. The most annoying thing, like, oh, you're not drinking. And it's like,
I was just gonna say that's like the first thing that comes to my mind is like when I've ever gone to like an event or like the pub or you've met up friends and they're like, oh, what do you want? What beer do you want? Or, you know, and if I'm not in the mood for drinking or whatever, you kind of feel this kind of pressure like, I'm just gonna have a Coke or I'll just have a water and they kind of look at you like, are you mad? And it's kind of getting over that barrier of them realizing that actually it's not a hindrance to like you having fun with them, or like you're not gonna not be as fun because you're not drinking, right?
yeah, definitely. And I think also because I was always the person that was doing that, I'd be like, you fucking what?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of just a little bit like, oh,
Like a shock.
well, this is ironic.
Yeah, kind of like how the tables have turned.
How the tables are turned. So I felt like kind of like on that note, I almost had to over explain myself, because it was like, especially if I hadn't seen someone for a few months, or like last time we seen them was the wedding or whatever, and then they're like, oh, you're not having a drink, and I'm like, oh, no, and then I'd kind of like go through different options of explanation as to why I wasn't, because if I'm completely honest, even if, you know, asking now, like, what's the real, you know, the real reason, I feel like there's so many layers.
Yeah.
That I feel like I don't even know myself. So then you end up, you know, someone's just asked you like one really small question in a pub, and then you're like, well, when I was a child, do you know what I mean? And so
it moves into oversharing.
yeah, which is also something I have a tendency to do. So yeah, it was just, I feel like it was actually fine. Like every experience was actually fine, but it definitely takes more mental preparation, I feel, than it would if you weren't, I feel.
If you've been enjoying the episode, can you do us a really quick favour? Drop us a rating or a little review. It helps more people find us, and honestly, we're a little bit needy like that. Takes 2 seconds and means the world. Thanks, guys. And when at the start, when you decided you're like, actually, we're going to stop for dry Jan, and then actually, you know what, let's keep this going, what were the, if any, immediate effects that you discovered when you went sober?
So it was in conjunction with also exercising. So that obviously has had and has like a massively positive influence as well. So I'd say the first sort of like noticeable thing was I was more committed to stuff as a person, particularly being CrossFit, because that's what we started in that literally like on the 7th of January or something. Any other circumstance, it would have been like, oh yeah, this is fun, go a few times, and then, oh no, I'm going to the pub, or oh, I'm doing something else, or like there's a social thing, so I'm not bothered. So I found myself having some more like accountability, because I was investing in something that I knew was actually good for me. And then that almost was like a pendulum that swung the other way, that was like, and actually this is like further confirming why I don't want to drink, because I know that I'll sleep in, I know I'll feel groggy, I know it's like unhealthy, and I'm trying to be healthy. So I definitely say like initially it was like a shift in like attitude, and almost like it was almost like I stepped out of a little bit of a bubble, because you get so caught into a routine of, because if someone says like, oh yeah, I drink on a Friday and Saturday, no, 99% of people wouldn't bat an eyelid. They'll think like, oh really, you drink every weekend? Like generally people just be like, oh, that's standard. So it's almost like just talking about that, like that first month, being able to like jump out of it and being like, fuck me, like there's literally a whole life that is separate to alcohol, that like, how did I not know this?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because it's like at that point you're like exercising, you're not drinking, and you're kind of feeling good about it, and it's kind of motivating you to carry it on. And that kind of feeling was that feeling was better than whatever the times that you'd have a drink and feel a bit tipsy and feel a bit like happy in that moment. that kind of was starting to outweigh that kind of drinking and enjoying an alcoholic drink.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, there's no negatives. So like,
Yeah.
you know, you can drink, you can have, I think it's like the first drink you have, you get like an increase of dopamine. And then the second drink you have an increase of dopamine. And then the third drink you have, because you're chasing this increase of dopamine,
Yeah.
you then get like a deficit. And then you're trying to just build up to the level that you were before you started, sort of thing. So every time I would drink would, you know, end up feeling shit. Whereas every time I exercise, I'd never feel shit. I'd always feel good.
It just kind of gets progressively better.
Exactly. And also I did like a bit of a, so I'm definitely someone who like thrives in routine, and maybe that's something I learned more about myself through this journey. So one of the things that I did was I do like meditation and journaling and stuff anyway, like before it was cool, may I add. Like genuinely to help ground myself. But I was doing at the end of each day, I did like a tally of how many days I haven't drunk, and I had like an app and stuff, but I like pen and paper. I do. And so as you like, you know, the days go past and you're like, oh fuck me, I'm on like 24 days, and then I'm like, I can't remember the last time I went this on without drinking. And then you're just like, I just want to keep adding to this tally.
Almost like an addictive, like.
Yeah. And it sounds silly, but it's just, and then like I sometimes would wake up in the morning on like a Sunday and be like, I'm not hungover.
Like jump out of bed to a theme tune.
Yeah, movie moment. So it's like, obviously you spoke a lot about kind of, you're really open about your mental health journey, and I speak to you an awful lot about these kind of topics. When you stopped drinking, and obviously you've kind of briefly just spoken to it, but could you go into further detail about how that impacted your mental health? Because I know when I stopped for health reasons a while ago, I had a bit of a period of not drinking. I almost felt better but worse, because I felt really left out socially, and a lot of that was in my own brain. And again, like I think we're so wired to like cocktails with friends, go to the pub, like all that kind of stuff. And then when you remove that, I was like, well, what else is there? And then the positives kind of came down the line. For you, was it just positive from the outset, or has it been a bit of a up and down roller coaster?
So I would say, to sort of like begin answering this question, 100% the most positive thing for my mental health ever, in comparison to like medication. Actually, I mean, I suppose I feel like medication has definitely probably like saved my life in some situations. So there's definitely times and place, but I mean, from the perspective of like a longitudinal kind of like
lifestyle shift.
Yeah. Yeah. So I suppose I've always struggled with my mental health, and then in 2020 got diagnosed with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which was affirming from basically everything that I'd experienced through my life, from the perspective of like anxiety, intrusive thoughts, mental compulsions, physical compulsions, all the rest of it. And I didn't realize, someone who's used to a level of anxiety, like a very high anxiety, but you end up functioning with it, and you have like coping mechanisms. And one of the things that helped me a lot was, I had lots of therapy, and I was on citalopram and SSRI for like 5 years or something. And basically when I stopped drinking, I had this fear that, because it's a change, and one of the thing about routine based whatever is like any change means something bad is going to happen. And I knew that I knew essentially I didn't have any, I couldn't hide like from my emotions. And even though maybe I consciously previously wasn't aware of using things as sort of like I suppose like medicine, but whether that be alcohol, whether that be like something else, like often we use avoidance tactics and all the rest of it. But I was very much so like, I cannot hide from how I am feeling. But am I going to spiral? Because I've spiraled before. I mean, like Phoebe, you've been around, where you get to the point where you're like trigger warning, but like, fuck me, like if this is how my head is going to be, I can't do this anymore. And I was like, I guess I felt so vulnerable. I was like, I'm so vulnerable right now. Everything that I'm used to having around me to protect me, if suddenly I need to talk, but I can't talk that much, so maybe I'll like have a wine and then I can talk things through a bit more and have a bit more perspective, and actually it doesn't feel that bad, and actually things are fine, whatever. So initially it was really scary, and there was definitely periods within that 12 months where I suddenly would be like, fuck, like, I don't know, everything's so much more raw. You just have a lot more clarity, like day to day, you have a lot more clarity. So the way that you're sort of like maybe processing things are different. And it actually also makes you see yourself a bit differently from other people, because you're like, I know that I can't behave right now in a usual way by just going to the pub and having a pint or whatever and talking about how I'm feeling, because I'm not drinking for this period of time. And but also because like I'm a bit different anyway. So that almost adds like two layers there. But then actually, sort of as time progresses and those thoughts pop in and out of your mind, you kind of like sit with them a little bit better. And then you're like, oh, hold on a minute. 3 weeks ago, I was like feeling terrible and really overwhelmed, and I felt I was on the edge about to fall into the hole. And then actually, I mean, I'm making this up, but like I just, went for a walk and then went to the gym and cooked dinner. And then I was like, oh, actually, no, I'm actually okay. And then like a few days later, like, oh no, I'm actually fine. And then like a few days later, like, oh no, I'm actually fine. And then you're like, oh, actually, I can regulate myself without having these things around me, and I'm actually okay as I am as an individual person. I don't know if that makes sense.
That's so nice. Like you don't need that drink to like kind of like as a crux, as like as a crutch almost. Like you've got yourself and you've got your own, and that's powerful in itself, I guess.
Because I think with as you say, it's almost like a crutch, and you're like, it's going to make it better in the moment but worse in the long run. And it's almost like you're giving yourself a bit, but then you're taking away, like the 1 steps forward, 3 steps back, I guess. So you've got, when you were drinking, it was like, okay, I know I'm going to feel better after a glass of wine, but the long-term effect of that would have been even worse. Whereas now you find that you might have a moment, but you employ the tactics you've learned and you come out 3 steps ahead rather than 3 steps behind.
Yeah. In so many words, definitely.
If I've got that wrong, like, please,
no, you haven't. I realize I probably explained it in a bit of a convoluted way. But no, you're right. I think it was almost like you're able to grow a bit more, because you've not got these you've not got like muddied water around you,
kind of being distracted by kind of temptations and things like that, and you're kind of just focusing on bettering yourself and making yourself healthier and fitter and mentally stronger in a way from doing those things. And like physically your mind is not as groggy, so you can have a bit more perspective, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it feels very like, when you come into this conversation, you think that going sober might largely be linearly positive. You're like, it's a constant kind of a gradual uphill, when actually in reality it sounds like it was super net positive, but not without its road bumps at the same time.
No, definitely not. I mean, and also because, and the thing is, I mean, I know this like makes people feel uncomfortable, but most people drink for a reason. Like if they know, maybe they know it, maybe they don't, but most people drink for a reason. Maybe that's they're socially anxious and it's like a buffer, or maybe something else, but they're still doing it for a reason, because essentially it makes you feel different. Like it changes how you feel. And so if you were completely fine, why would you want to change how do you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm sounding so like black and white, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with, like, release your inhibitions.
Feel the rain on your skin.
But then equally it's important to be like conscious, like, why am I doing this? And then when you take that away, you're faced with the reasons that you do it. So I feel like, yeah, that's definitely sort of a representation of the kind of the trials and tribulations through the journey.
So obviously, as you approached your 30th birthday, we spoke about this at the time, so you were kind of getting to the end of that year of like sobriety, and you were feeling a bit weird about drinking again, weren't you? After being like, I'm struggling to give this up, to actually, do I want to even touch it again?
Yeah, so I'm in full context, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying this. I don't think. My mum stopped drinking when I was about 6 because she's had a problem with alcohol, and she's not drunk since. And I've been very aware of her journey with alcohol and stuff. So I feel like I was brought up with a bit of a skewed understanding of moderation anyway. And then also in my head, I was like, does this mean is it all or nothing with alcohol? Like, is it either like you can do it, or no, you're one of those, like, you've got an addictive personality, like, just don't do it. And so because I come to the end of this year, and like, honestly, the year was the most, and it sounds cliche, don't care, the most life-changing year of my life, also Joe's life, but for so many reasons, in such a positive way. So much learning and all the rest of it. And then you come to the end, and then the whole time in my head, I'm like, I know this wouldn't have been possible if I was drinking throughout, like 100%. So am I about to throw that all away for the sake of, getting a bit pissed because I'm 30, like, and then falling down do you know what I mean? Like, unlearning everything I've just learned.
Is it worth it? Yeah.
And also very aware of, like, my mum stopped drinking then, and she's not drunk since. And if you was to say to her, like, oh, would you like, have you ever thought about having a glass of wine, like, for example, at our wedding or whatever, she'd be like, no, absolutely not. And so then I thought to myself, like, am I being like really naive, thinking, oh, I'm above this kind of thing? So yeah, I was like super dubious. And then when I did actually drink, it was, I don't know, it was honestly, we were sat there, I remember, so Joe got me like an Airbnb in Bath, and me, him and John, our dog, went down, and it was my birthday, and we were sat in this like beautiful Airbnb in Bath and had some like champagne, and he was like, so shall we do it? And I was like, I guess. And then I think we both thought, like, God, we're gonna have such low tolerances, like, we're gonna, like, one glass be like wankered, whatever. I tell you, tolerance was, I wouldn't say it was like had changed loads, and it was almost just like, it was anticlimactical, defo.
You just kind of like, you thought there was going to be this kind of like thing that pops out, like, oh, you did it, you drank, what have you done? But really it's just a glass of champagne, and your body is just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it was so weird, because there was like, even like, I talked about like the tally thing, I had like a number that was written down, and in my head I was like, well, I'm gonna have to, that's redundant now, and all of those kinds of things.
You still did it though, like, it's not like that's not a blank slate that you've like, oh, well, I've totally fucked this. Like, you still did that year. And I think, if anything, the fact that it was left in, actually, it's not this anticlimactical space of, it's not all or nothing, like, and if you want it to be all, like, nothing, it can be nothing, you've done it. But if you want to also have a glass of champagne on your 30th birthday, you can do that.
Yeah, it wasn't just a glass of champagne though. We got pissed.
It was the whole bottle. Oh, so do you feel as though could you not stop at the glass, or did you want to drink the bottle? And where's your relationship with alcohol been left?
Well, I think we were both like, yeah, let's get pissed. Let's have, let's have some fun. Let's see how it is, as well, because we spent, so many years together drinking and having fun. Like, we don't, it was never like it was, we would argue or we'd be both like nasty drunks or whatever. It was just more from like, other reasons. So like, oh, we can have fun, but let's also see what it's like. And so it wasn't like, oh, it was conscious decision. It wasn't, oh, let's have a glass and that be it. It was like, I'll do what you want. But then I feel like, we drunk over Christmas. So it's like I don't know, like a 14-day period between my birthday and then New Year's, where there's obviously like Christmas do's and we had our CrossFit Christmas do. There's been loads of social events throughout the year that we've always been sober at, and then we're like, oh, finally we can join in, kind of thing. And then it was really ironic because like hardly anyone was drinking that time. But yeah, over that period of 12 days or whatever, I was like, oh, I know why. I don't know. It made me think like, is this what I want? Like, is this worth it? Like, yeah, I've gone to the pub and yeah, it's Christmas and everyone's jolly and but like, does this outweigh all the benefits of how I felt last year? But then equally, I'm like, so does that just mean I'm sober?
But in a way, do you think it was a positive thing for you to kind of break that sober cycle just for your own self? If you're kind of an obsessive person and you like to write things down and you like to track, how many days you've been sober, or, you've got a lot of stock in routine, do you think it's healthy for you to kind of break that up and have a drink and then go sober for a bit again and then have a drink again, instead of putting so much pressure on yourself to be sober continually because you feel like that's what you should be doing?
Yeah, definitely. No, I think you're right, and I think that's kind of what we've done since. So in this year, so we didn't drink in January. We tried like, oh, let's just do dry Jan, and then I think drunk like twice in February. It was Joe's birthday in March, stuff like that. So, and it has been like a bit on and off. So previously where I was like, oh, like if someone says, or if someone were to say to me like, oh, just drink on Fridays and Saturdays for the rest of your life, I'd just be like, I don't want to. That doesn't align with how I want to live. I feel like I'd be back on the rat race wheel, whatever. But then also, I also don't want to be like you said, I never want to. So I think finding that balance, but also it's weird. So I've thought before, like, oh, maybe I'd like to do like 6 months again and see how that feels, from doing like a year, then like 6 months of a little bit, and then 6 months off. And then also like if we'll probably have a kid in the next like couple of years, and obviously that'll be 9 months where obviously I can't. and then you enter like a new phase of your life as well, don't you? And then alcohol will then take like a whole new meaning because you've got a responsibility. So yeah.
There is so many levels. It definitely seems to be an ongoing relationship and conversation, because obviously it's not just, yeah, we're done, that's it. And it's not like, yeah, I'm back to having a wine every Saturday. And I think lifestyle changes come into that massively, especially a child as well. To wrap things up, could you give us some 3 pros and 3 cons of your sober year?
Yes. So, I mean, I would say like mental clarity, the pros, obviously, not cons. Mental clarity. I would say just generally being happier, like a base level of happiness was higher for sure, or more consistent. And I'd say like, oh, there's so many more than 3, but I'd say like resilience. So you're like more resilient to stuff. So whether that be, because the thing is, as we all know, we'll never be able to control what's around us and what happens around us generally, but we can control how we respond, as difficult as that is, obviously. But I felt way more informed and able to respond to difficult situations in that last year than I have maybe previously. And I mean, there's an endless list of pros, but you asked for 3, so I gave you 3. And then 3 cons,
if there is any.
Yeah, I mean, I say FOMO, but it's funny because you'll be at said social event, whatever it is, and you'll get that initial FOMO, and then say you push through to like 9:30 or whatever, and then you're like, I can drive home. I will be feeling fine tomorrow. I will not have any anxiety about anything I said because I know everything I said. And also just like I won't then go and buy like shit food and then feel shit tomorrow kind of thing. So the FOMO like passes, defo. But I wouldn't really say I honestly wouldn't say there's other cons because you save like there's, yeah, I'd say that's probably the con.
Yeah, there's more pros. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. It was so interesting. Your transparency and honesty is like amazing to hear, and I think also hearing about how it was obviously such a positive, game-changing year for you in so many other ways, and how that snowballed into so many other positivities as well is really amazing to hear. So thank you so much for telling us about that.
And I'm sure it's going to really like kind of inspire other people, because like when I was listening to you, like it was pretty inspirational, so thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I mean, I think I went way off topic multiple times, so apologies.
And now it's time for...
And what a part of bollocks!
This is the part of the show where we chat shit about something highly insignificant that just fucks us off. And Jordan, as our esteemed guest today, it's your turn. What have you got?
People that drink oat milk when they're not lactose intolerant.
Yeah,
why
literally,
am I being called out
this
this
is
way?
such a call out. I feel so intense right now. I don't want to drink milk from the teat of a cow. I'm sorry, I just don't want to do it. I don't like it. I don't like the taste of it. I don't like the idea of it. But I do also eat meat, so I'm a massive hypocrite.
It makes me feel sick.
What's your beef with it? Speak on it.
I just think it's extra. I just think it's like, it tastes fine, but I just feel like it's just a trend.
Like going up and being like, can I have it with oat milk, please?
Yeah, and like...
But that's the best part of my day.
Same.
Yeah, I suppose I just feel like if you like coffee, then just drink coffee.
That's the difference, is that if you are a black coffee lover, you're like, you raw dog it, you're harder than everyone else. Like for us, we like a little OT cap, you know, we're weak.
We're just soft girlies.
We're so vanilla.
Little oat cap, little oat flat white,
To be fair, I don't mind oat milk. I think it tastes nice. I just feel like when people make it their personality.
Yeah.
Just a hater.
I'm not a hater. I'm not a lover. I'm a hater.
Thanks so much for listening to Shallow. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could leave us a review. It makes a really huge difference in helping others discover the podcast. We always want to hear from you, so feel free to slide into our DMs, send us a bell, or follow us on Instagram at ShallowPod. Shallow is a boxed off production, written and hosted by Lucy Bell and Phoebe Whittle. We'll see you next time.